Hi, Tania Kalinich here from Mortgage Center Rateway Mortgage. Today I have Matt Wilkie from Sutton Group West Coast Realty, sorry. And we wanted to just chat and share some insights on the marketplace, what he's seeing, what I'm seeing as far as the mortgage side goes. And so let's just get right into it. So, Matt, one of the questions that I'm sure you have, or you have a favorite, I'm sure that you get asked all the time, or the number one question. So, what is your number one question that you're getting asked by clients now?
Yeah, right now, as we head into 2025, my lots of clients reaching out and asking when's going to be the best time for me to list my property this year. Tough question to answer. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. I wish we did because it would make things a lot easier for planning purposes. But it really comes down to like asking them what's their situation, finding out where they're at. Are they going to be ready in 2 weeks, or are they going to be ready in 2 months? Do they have to get tenants to get their property ready to show? Or everybody's situation is unique. So it's really just finding out what's going to work best for them. There's no perfect timing. Obviously, the spring market gets hotter, so there's going to be lots of listings, hopefully lots of buyers as well. But there's no predicting, unfortunately, right?
Yeah, I wish we could all predict everything, interest
It would
rates,
make
all of it.
it would make things a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, and we'd all be rich. That's awesome. So, probably another question you get asked is, where do you think prices are going to go within the next year?
And here we go with the crystal ball again, right? I
Yeah.
wish we had the crystal ball that said we could predict this. Um, Generally, things I think are going to go up. It seemed like last year things were pretty level. Depending on what the product was it a condo house, townhouse? Things stayed fairly level, but generally in the lower mainland, prices are going to always trend up, right? So if I were to be placing a bet on this one, I would be betting on them going up. Probably not going to see some crazy increases like we did several years ago, but modest increases over the entire spectrum in the lower mainland. Whether condos will maybe go up a little bit less because there seems like there's lots of them. Houses, maybe they go
Yeah.
up a little bit more because there's less single family detached houses, but hard to
Well,
predict.
and another thing I was hearing recently too, I mean, when interest rates start to come down like we've seen in the last while, it takes a bit before the housing market, uh, the effect occurs from those rate drops. So I
Right.
think I heard 18 months or something before you
Oh
start
yeah.
to really see. I don't know if that's right or what if you've heard that, but usually it takes that much of a time after the interest rates kind of stabilized for that to be reflected in the marketplace.
Yeah, and I think we definitely saw that last year because the rates were starting to come down, but really didn't see the buyers hopping off the fence like maybe we thought they would. I think a lot of buyers are still hesitant and holding back and perhaps waiting for more rate increases or just uncertain about where things are heading, right? So, yeah, there's definitely a lag effect there.
Another question that I get asked quite a bit too is, which is funny because I'm the finance girl, is should I be listing my house first or and buying after, or because during that crazy time of COVID, basically you had to buy a house first, or because you knew
Yeah.
you could get rid of yours, and so people often ask, can I do a subject to sale? Is that something that is out there again? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it really depends what it is and where it is. Is it a condo townhouse house? Is it in Vancouver? Is it in Chilliwack? Every market's going to have its own, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? So you really have to dive into the stats for your area, see what's
Yeah.
happening, what are sales, how many listings are there, and just kind of get down into the details there to figure out what the best strategy is. But really, it comes down to, is it a seller's or a buyer's market, right? And so, you mentioned the COVID times. That was for sure a seller's market, pretty much straight across the board for every product and every location. So in that instance, you really do have to buy and buy first because it's really hard to get an accepted offer, and then you have to sell your place. But hopefully, it's going to be not too hard to sell, right? Um, in
Yeah.
reverse, in a buyer's market, yeah, you can do it the opposite, right?
So are you seeing a lot of offers that are, where is a buy and sell situation? Are you seeing a
Yeah.
lot of offers that are subject to a sale
Yeah.
currently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the detached market. So detached houses, we'll see. I've had several recently that have all been subject to sale.
Mm.
And yeah, I'd say my last 3 out of 3 house sales have been subject to sale. So, and those are all in different locations. And so definitely a market for that. That said, moving into January 2025, things seem to be changing
Mm.
and quite quickly. So, you know, we just had a condo that we sold, or it's still hasn't sold officially, but we have an accepted offer, and we had multiple offers.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so, and not once, but twice, because the first time we had multiple offers, that offer fell through. Then we again got, as soon as that one fell through, we had multiple offers again. So things are definitely shifting here. So in the condo market, that was in Port Coquitlam. So condo market, Port
Mm.
Coquitlam, definitely not doing subject to sales right now, but it depends what it is and
Wow.
where it is, right?
That's crazy. And are
Yeah.
you seeing, because I do hear out in the, grapevine that, I deals are falling apart sometimes. Like you just said, you had that
Yeah.
one collapse.
Yeah.
Is there a trend on the reason, or it's just sort of they're just one-offs?
Yeah. I don't think there's any trend really. Every time's a little unique. Maybe some people are putting out offers and they're not ready. In our instance, they just got cold feet and they're first time home buyers,
Oh,
and I think they got a little ahead of themselves, perhaps. But yeah, I don't think there's any real trend. It's every situation's unique for sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I hear a lot of times the biggest thing is that somebody thought they were pre-approved,
Yeah.
or they were pre-approved, maybe not in the right way. Mortgage
Right.
broker,
Right.
definitely
Yes.
get pre-approved, properly pre-approved.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then not having those expectations. One of the things I do is that budget that you've seen that you can clients see their payments so that they're not in that shock, like because I
Yeah.
have done pre-approvals where they're like, oh, the payments were higher than what they expected, and they're like, okay, actually we're going to wait a bit, save up some more money or what have you.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. And I have some questions for you now.
Great.
Again, the crystal ball time, like 2025. We're just in January 2025 here. We got the year ahead of us. What are the predictions for mortgage rates this year?
Well, they seem to change weekly. No, I mean, for the most part, we are hearing, Trump is the big wait and see sort of thing. There's different scenarios that can happen depending on how Canada, whether they retaliate or they don't, if those tariffs are brought in. But basically, at this point in time, we are starting to see there is an expectation on the 29th of January that we'll see that prime rate drop another 0.25%, which is going to put interest rates or put those now pretty much equal to fixed rates. So, again, these are predictions and anything can make those things change. But, back in the day, your variable rate mortgage products were always lower than the fixed rates.
Right.
You paid a premium basically for the security of that fixed rates. Now, obviously, in COVID times, once again, everybody got the hate on for variables when everything went up. But over the long term, they have paid off for most people. That was like a bit of a blip. So we are starting to see people trend a little bit more back to variable rates. Um, and then fixed rates are currently, mid 4-ish%. And there isn't really an expectation that we're going to see a lot of change in fixed rates. So, they might change slightly, but I don't think we're going to see any significant changes in those fixed rates. So it really depends on, when someone's choosing their product or wish to, or trying to figure out variable or fixed, it does come down a lot of times to what you are comfortable with as well,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
be informed in making that decision, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a perfect segue into the next question is if I was coming to you for a renewal right now, what's the advice and what should I go for, fixed or variable? It doesn't seem like it's as straightforward as it used to be.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's ever been straightforward. I think the most important thing is to have that information and the knowledge of what the forecasts are. And then based on that information, decide for yourself what you're comfortable with. I have clients that are like, no way in hell I am taking a variable rate. They want to know what my payment is, what the rate is going to be for whatever time frame they choose. 3 years has been more popular lately, but I think we will start to see more 5 years once it is sort of seen that we won't see big changes in fixed rates. Again, those are the forecasts.
Yeah.
So, it's really an individual decision, but an individual decision that should be made with knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember when I was getting my first mortgage, the variable was way lower than fixed, but we still went fixed just because it was that peace of mind and knowing that my
Yeah.
payment is X for the next 5 years. And some people are risk adverse, and especially when you're a first time home buyer, you want to have that certainty. So it probably depends on where people are in their mortgage journey, right? Are they just getting into it for the first time, or are they, you know, up for renewal and almost paid off? Then I'm sure everybody's situation is unique, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You have to have some. I find that clients that, if you're scrimping every paycheck, probably a fixed rate is a better rate to go just because you know what that's going to be. But I've also seen people take the variable because they're like, hey, I just want the lowest payment. So,
Right,
but
right.
there's that risk to it. So,
Yeah, totally. So we've seen a lot of changes over the last several years in terms of, in my world, the real estate rules have changed drastically, and same in the mortgage world. Do you anticipate more of that this year, or what are your thoughts or predictions?
I mean, they did so many things this past year that it was a bit hard to keep up with, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, yeah,
And some things changed in April, some in January,
right.
again in December, and again in January. I don't, the 30-year amortization was a big one that a lot of people were hoping for. Unfortunately, it did only roll out to first-time home buyers or repeat buyers buying new properties. So I'm hoping that that will open up for if you have less than 20% down for all repeat buyers, whether you're buying a new property or an existing property. But I have not heard of any of those things coming down in the pipeline. Again, I think politically it was great for all these things to be rolled out, and there was some reasoning in the background for that kind of stuff and the fact we needed it. But I have not heard of any massive changes coming this year, but
Yeah,
who knows?
yeah, it'll be interesting because we're going to be heading into an election here, and the promises are going to be made, right? And the
Yeah,
housing affordability and availability and the housing crisis is not going away, and so the pressure is going to be on these politicians to make things happen. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more changes coming down the pipe on both our ends here.
I hope so. I hope so, and ones that come to fruition.
Yeah, yeah, not just promises, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
so much for chatting with us today, Matt. If anyone has any questions, you can reach Matt on the real estate side, and any questions on mortgages, definitely reach out to me.